Welcome to the Collective Frequency Upgrade for September. Your soul assignment this month is to start expressing yourself in a new way. What needs to be spoken by you now so that you can be of greater service not just to those around you but also to yourself. Here we are in September. It is a Pisces Full Moon, but we're in the middle of Virgo season. And Virgo is really about our day-to-day selves. Pisces is about our spiritual selves. So it is time to find balance between those things. And let's break it down a little bit more. As I said, your soul assignment is to start speaking your truth. Last month, you were invited to really start to be honest with yourself, to start attuning to where you're feeling that openness to things or that contraction to things, and start really honoring that truth. Now we're taking that next step where it's time to have the courage to start speaking this truth, to start changing these daily habits of maybe setting greater boundaries, maybe saying no, maybe putting your own needs first, and not only about speaking that truth, it's also about how you speak to yourself, your daily thoughts. Reframing that in a way that allows you to really be coming from that place of soul. This is what the collective needs right now. We are done with ego. It's been such a massive time of transformation the last few months. And the ego, we've all gone through somewhat of an ego death. I don't know many people that have been immune to this in the last few years, and especially perhaps the last 18 months. It's been an ego death. Those structures that we knew have been breaking down, and this is all part of that bigger cycle of the end of the cross of planning from human design. We're moving into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, and phoenix rises from the ashes, rises from that destruction, if you like, but it stands and shines in its beautiful self, and this is what we're heading towards. So if we break it down, here we are in Virgo season, and Virgo, as I say, is about our day-to-day habits. It's about our day-to-day selves. So you might be witnessing some of your day-to-day habits, be it the mind, be it how you speak, whether you're expressing that truth, if you are starting to be honest with yourself, that day-to-day expression of your truth to create balance for yourself. And Virgo really loves to be of service. Virgo is also about refinement. It's about order. It's about, the intellect, practicality. And, it's a beautiful time for us in the Southern Hemisphere because not only is it Virgo season, but it's also really that start of the springtime that we're starting to feel that upward rising of spring. Maybe you want to get things in order, spring cleaning, that kind of thing. So I really like this time of year because we're kind of starting to a little bit, we're not fully out yet, but we're starting to come out of that winter hibernation. And as I say, it's that change in our day-to-day habits. And so we've actually been in a really potent time this Virgo season because we had a new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo. So that's the very beginning of that Virgo cycle. We had that in, around the 22nd, 23rd of August. So this was kind of the beginning of our eclipse season as well, because we had that Virgo new moon at the beginning of Virgo. Then here we are now at the Pisces full moon, which is also a total lunar eclipse. So there will be a lot of cosmic, karmic transformation, destiny, things that have been eclipsed in your world that might be coming forth for you to witness, to really ride these waves of change. But then we're sandwiched between another Virgo new moon, which is quite unusual to have two new moons in the same sign. So not only that, the Virgo new moon at the end of the month is actually at the very end of that phase of Virgo. So it's at 29 degrees. And so it's kind of a completion of some sort over the course of this month around your day-to-day habits and how you can be of service. And not only that, there's this whole flip that then happens after this Virgo new moon, which can mean the next, it actually goes through until February 2027, which is around the time, or soon after that, is the time that the cross of the sleeping phoenix gets fully activated. So what happens is we then get a lunar reversal. So having 2 new moons in the same sign, usually what would happen is we have, say, the new moon in, say, Virgo, and then we'd go to the full moon in Pisces. So that's kind of the natural order of the flow. However, what's happening, because we then have the new moon after that full moon in Pisces, the next new moon is not in its correct order. Basically, then we have the who are we talking? Pisces, so we're going to the Aries full moon, and we've got the Libra new moon, whereas ordinarily we would have the Libra new moon and then the full moon after that. And my experience with the lunar reversals is often that we have this, kind of emotional upheaval, and then we create the new habits that come from that, or the new, we have the new start that comes from that. Whereas sometimes I find this is my experience, you tell me what your experience is, but when we have the new moon followed by that natural flow of that full moon, we kind of have, it's like a little bit of a stair step into our, emotional resolution, if you like. Rather than going like that, which is the normal order, we kind of go like this, have this, and then we kind of get to integrate that over the next few weeks and step into a new way of being around it. But, tell me your experience if it's something different. Either way, from basically next month, this is what's happening for until 2027. So it's quite a long one. But for now, here we are, as I say, we've talked about Virgo season. It is a Pisces full moon, and Pisces is really about our spiritual selves. So we're in that, what's known as that health and service axis of Pisces and Virgo. So it's kind of like Virgo being our day-to-day habits that really impact our health, our mind, and then we've got, also in Pisces we can be of service to the collective. It's this interconnectedness of all things. Pisces is really at the end of the whole zodiac. So having gone through that earthly cycle, they are in that connection. So it can be about intuition, it can be, compassion, connection to our feelings, the dream world, all that kind of thing. On a shadow level, Pisces can also go into self-sacrifice, but often at the neglect of their own needs. There can be a lot of avoidance with others or with self, emotional needs. There can be substance abuse, that kind of avoidance. There can be fantasy, idealism, and kind of not really being grounded in the self. So here we are kind of really at this point where we have gone through the ego death, and now we are refining, like, what do you want next? What is right for you next? What inspires you? And how can you create a balance between your day-to-day self, which, means work routines, health routines, that kind of thing, and your spiritual self? And can you see where these things might be out of balance at this point in your life? Perhaps you've thrown yourself into a job or into, something. If I reflect on my life, I've been in the midst of moving, and I've just thrown myself in moving. There's been a little bit of neglect of my spiritual self around that. And really, I am feeling that call to come back and honour my spiritual self. And so within honouring your true needs, your true self, rather than being in that ego self, coming back to your soul needs, this is where certain truths might be starting to arise. How have you been viewing yourself on a day-to-day level? What stories have you been telling yourself? This is a time to rewrite some of these old stories, not just in here, but what comes next is actually having the courage to speak. What needs to be spoken in your day-to-day to actually allow you to have that balance, so that you can be of service to others and so that you can also be of service to yourself. And so, as I say, it might be about saying no, it might be about clear boundaries, it might just be about saying, I'm done with this job, this relationship, whatever it is, I deserve better. So I really invite you to come back to what last month's theme was, is being honest with yourself. Use that as fuel to start having the courage to speak your truth and to speak what needs to be spoken, to allow you to be fully coming from that place of soul. Because you might notice, the way that our mind operates as a human being is that we create these stories first and foremost in here. And then we project it out here. And then we might hold back saying our truth because, oh, they're not going to accept that part of me. Remember, this is what's breaking down our roles and our identities, the very foundation, these structures that we have built our lives on, the things that we've done in order to gain love or avoid pain. Now, what if these stories, these day-to-day thoughts about yourself aren't even real? What if you hold a lot of shame that, about these things, the way you were treated, the way people judged you, whatever that is, and they're not even actually real? 10, 20, 30 years on, they're just stories. This is what we're breaking down right now. So we've got this beautiful time of intense transformation. And I call it beautiful because we need to approach it with curiosity and openness and beauty and trust in the gifts. If you're having a tough time, trust that it's all going to be worth it. So let's just see, what we need to talk about. So I guess the key question right now is asking, how do you want to be of service to the world moving forward? This is that time of transformation. If you were to really come from that soul self, not from the ego that wants validation, that wants, it takes effort to actually come from that ego. But from that soul self, how do you want to be of service to the world? What do you want to create? What is inspiring you to move forward right now? And what do you need to change in your daily habits in this Virgo refinement thing? What daily habits need to change for you to actually allow you to step into that more fulfilling way of being of service to the world? So we're going to look at a little practice that you can do to support that. So first and foremost, I invite you to place one hand, doesn't matter which hand, whichever you feel called to, over your dantian, that area which holds our life force and circulates our life force around our body. So my belly button's here, just beneath the belly button, placing one hand there, and then the other hand, create like a V. And we're going to come just up close to the throat, over the collarbone, over the sternum. And this is really supporting our vagus nerve. So just taking a few breaths here. So this is supporting the vagus nerve up here, which actually helps you to really move through those fears. And these are deep, old patterns, old fears of speaking your truth. That it's going to mean abandonment, or it's going to mean, rejection. It's literally those fears that prevent us from having spoken our truth in the past, in the present. So this is supporting that part of you to have the courage to feel calm and connected to yourself and to your center, and to start facing the unknown, the consequences that will come from you speaking your truth. Because ultimately it's up to you to start creating this new way of living, and it's up to you to speak up. So what needs to be spoken for you now? Consider that. Who do you need to speak your truth to now? And just allowing this to calm and soothe you, so that you're coming from a place that's connected more to your spirit rather than from that reactive survival mode. Just taking a few breaths here. Beautiful. And then we're going to go a step further with this one. So we're going to keep the hand on our dantian exactly where it is, and the one on our throat. We're going to create a circular motion. And while you do this, you're going to do an in-breath as you come up to the top, whichever the top means to you, and an out-breath as you come down around your circle. So we'll do that together. We'll do that a few times. So take breathing in, making a circle around to the top, and as you breathe out, allowing that circle to come back. Breathing in and out. So we're just supporting that shift of energy. Continue with some breaths. And we're just helping it rise and move through us so it doesn't get stuck, so we don't get paralyzed by our anxieties or our fears, known or unknown. Okay, and then we're going to go back in the other direction. So this time going the other direction, breathing in to the top and out. Once again. And out. Once again. And out. Beautiful. And now we're going to actually work with our bladder meridian. And we're going to flush the bladder meridian, because the bladder meridian relates to our fears, particularly our fears of the unknown. So we want to, again, encourage you to create greater courage and groundedness. So I'm just going to pop a little picture up here so you can see where this meridian runs. But I'm going to run you through, so up to you whether you follow that or me. So basically we're starting just at the inside of our eyes here at the forehead, and we're just going to basically brush our hands over our heads, over the back of the neck, and we're coming down just either side of the spine, however far up you can reach, and we're coming down the spine and over the buttocks and kind of partly embracing the sides of the legs and the backs of the legs. And we're going to come all the way down, keep going down, I don't want to lose myself in the picture, until you get to your little toe. Okay. And then we're going to come back to the top, and we're going to do this 2 more times. So starting at our eyes, the inside edge of our eyes, and we're coming up and over the forehead, and down the back as far as you can reach there, and then up the back as far as you can reach, and keep following down, down, down the legs, down, until you get to your outside edge of your little toe. Beautiful. And we'll do that 1 more time. So feeling how grounded that is making you feel, how calm and centered, which is beautiful for creating change. And really working with those neural pathways about transforming your stories for yourself, and how you can have the courage to speak that, your truth, in a new way to others, so that you can really be of service in a way that's inspiring you now. And I guess it really comes down to, how do you want people to treat you? And that can also be about what's been expected of you. And it's time to start asserting how you want to be treated, what you deserve, and really allowing others to understand your wants and your needs from that place. Now, when I say assert, that doesn't have to be aggressive. That can actually just be really calmly creating a boundary, or saying, no, I'm not up for that right now, thanks. Actually, that doesn't align with me at the moment. Actually, I don't have the capacity right now. So whatever words work for you in order to speak your truth and allow you to have that balance. Because it's really important. You're no good to anyone if you are depleted from giving over in a way that doesn't serve you. So, just seeing if there's anything else here, any other words. Okay, so just really bring it back to that question of what you want versus what's expected of you, or what you perceive is expected of you. And giving yourself permission to speak your truth about what you want, what your needs are, what your capacity is. And I really honour the journey that you're on right now, and I wish you so many blessings. Now, I'm actually going to finish off with a little bit of sound healing. So I'm going to just kind of finish my words here, and I'm going to give you a little bit of sound just to work with that last little bit of transforming the energies in the throat. So I invite you to have that courage to speak your truth this month. Sending you many blessings, and may you find that place to honour your own spiritual self as much as you're being of service out there in the world. Here's just a little extra frequency balance to help balance the heart and the throat, so that you can feel more safe to speak your truth.